Welcome, everyone. My name is Darren Little. I'm the Customer Director at Exceedra. I've been working with manufacturers for over 25 years now, helping them with their processes and solutions to improve the overall efficiency and effectiveness of the sales team's activities, ultimately delivering improvements in trade spend ROI, increased sales, and improved forecast accuracy. Today, I'm going to take you through some of these learnings and how to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your sales resources through a cohesive and connected go-to-market ecosystem. For today's session, first we'll focus on understanding what's happening in our industry and what problems manufacturers like you are looking to solve. Then I'll introduce what a connected ecosystem is and the benefits and learnings that others have realized. Before we look at the specific food and beverage market trends, it is important to understand what's driving the shifts in market across the globe. First of all, environmental pressures play a large role in what a manufacturer and retailer needs to consider. Extreme weather events drive unpredictability in market demand. Environmentally friendly trends influence our products and the packaging. In fact, the beverage market was the leading edge in this area many years ago with glass and aluminium can recycling. But more and more pressure is on manufacturers now to be more environmentally friendly around their packaging solutions. Retailers and manufacturers are also under more pressure to move to zero emission targets, impacting their manufacturing processes, self-sustainability, and so on and so forth. And additionally, there's a massive push towards innovation, such as recycling solutions. Social and health. COVID is a great example of manufacturers and retailers being forced to adapt quickly to changes in market dynamics, changes in legislation, and changes in consumer demand. The aging population also has an impact on demand, consumer behavior or brand loyalty, and growth categories. And finally, the rise of automation has also an impact on reskilling the labor market and the future of employment. Economic pressures also play a big role. Consumer confidence, job security has a direct relationship on retail spending and retail confidence. And last but not least, political influences. All of these other environmental, social, and economic influences also drive the political influence that impacts manufacturers over time. So now we understand what's driving our market changes. Let's really consider the impact on the food and beverage market that we operate in. Firstly, there's category shifts. There's a shift in focus to health and well-being and localization evident in product demand, i.e. the growth of the local craft beer market, the emergence of zero alcohol beer, etc. Channel shifts also play a big role. The emergence and growth of business to consumer or e-commerce platforms has been massive. Pre-COVID, in fact, 3% of grocery purchases were made online. Post-COVID, over 20% of grocery purchases are now made online from the US. Consumption shifts also, the shift to convenience and in-home consumption, particularly in the food and beverage market, has really put more pressure on retailers and the route to market to make sure that we can reach our consumer through all the different avenues. And last but not least, with all of the changes in our routes to market or business to business or business to consumer, the varying data sets and data availability has just made the situation far more complex for manufacturers to actually make the most of that data and get useful and effective insights and make decisions from that data set. So all of these category, channel, consumption, and data shifts in the marketplace are really putting pressure on our manufacturers and our retailers to reach the consumer with the right product at the right time and at the right place. In fact, if we have a look at the timeline of these changes, really over the last 200 years, there's been 3 distinct changes or evolutions of the route to market. First, there was a big focus on in-store and service to the consumer. So that was all around our retail outlets, our supermarkets, our hypermarkets, and so on and so forth. Then there was the dawn of e-commerce, Amazon, eBay, other purchasing platforms where consumers could start to purchase product directly from a platform. And now that really has shifted into a full omni-commerce channel where basically a consumer can purchase products in any number of ways, whether it be from a retailer, whether it be from anywhere else. What this really means is that the traditional business-to-business model or route to market was very easy to deal with from a manufacturer's point of view. They dealt with the retailer directly, and then the retailer would on-sell their products and supply the consumer. So the relationship for manufacturers were really focused around the retailer relationship. But now with the omni-commerce era, the manufacturer has so many different routes to market. They need to consider, business to business, the retailer, business to consumer, so how they deal directly with their consumer or interact with their consumer, and then potentially also consumer to consumer. So there's a myriad of different channels now available for manufacturers to reach their consumer. So with these changes and multiple routes to market, the problem of cohesion has risen to the forefront for manufacturers. How do we engage appropriately at all levels and ensure our strategy is executed appropriately? How do the plans and strategies, the 4 Ps, i.e. price, product, promotion, and placement, developed at the head office, i.e. the strategy, and the retailer level to get executed effectively at the end consumer level? How does this affect our core business functions? Sales and marketing, finance, and demand. They're all interrelated. And how do we adapt our strategies based on the feedback and learnings from the consumer? So with this in mind, you can see that the predicament. How do we, at a head office or at a retailer or a customer level, how do we ensure that we have the right strategies in place? And then how do we execute those strategies to the consumer? So how do we bring those 2 pieces of the puzzle together? So if we bring all of what we've learned together, we can now understand and qualify the problems and most manufacturers are trying to solve. Fundamentally, growing revenue, margin, and return on investment, improving forecast accuracy and alignment, improving efficiency and effectiveness of the sales resources, and making better business decisions. When it comes to growing revenue and margin, 55% of manufacturers have increased trade investment in the last 5 years with no real improvement in return on investment. And as you can see by some of the other metrics here, trade investment is the second largest cost to an organization. So it's one that is key to get the right return on investment and optimize the efficiency of that spend. Improving forecast accuracy and alignment. With route to market complexity and a lack of cohesion between strategy and execution, the above forecast accuracy, or the average forecast accuracy, is 69% for manufacturers. This represents a significant cost to organizations through potential out of stocks or lost sales, the potential in clearance or overstocking or clearing lines, and so on and so forth. Improving efficiency and effectiveness. How many times have we heard the comment, I want my salespeople to be more focused on selling and the customer relationship instead of working on internal tasks? We hear that so often, but unfortunately, due to disparate systems and processes, a lot of our sales team's time is taken up on internal activities, from forecasting to dealing with promotional loading and planning, and so on. And lastly, making better business decisions based on reliable analytics. Again, with the shifts in route to market and the complexity of data sets, it's becoming harder to drive reliable and valuable business insights to drive the right decisions and actions. In fact, 60% of organizations really struggle to utilize their data effectively. So these are the problems that manufacturers like yourselves are trying to solve. So how do we solve this? Exceedra provides both services and solutions for manufacturers to bring all the parts together in a connected and cohesive ecosystem, from integrated business planning, trade promotion, management and optimization, focusing on the manufacturer and the route to market strategies, all the way through to retail execution to ensure those strategies reach the consumer in the most efficient and effective way. At the core of a connected ecosystem is the data, consolidating and harmonizing varying data sources into one connected view of the world. So let's break those components down a little bit. What is TPM and TPO? What does a solution really do in this space? TPO is all about planning and optimizing the correct mix of business strategies together to determine the optimum customer plan to execute to deliver the best results for the manufacturer and the retailer. If we think about it from a process perspective, on the left-hand side here, TPM caters for what we would call the annual planning process. And that's where we're looking forward to the next year in terms of dealing with the top-down, bottom-up budgeting and customer planning process, really to ultimately identify and define what are the ideal strategies to deliver the business targets for the year. Strategies being price, promotion, placement, product, and so on and so forth. Then we move into the executional phase. So now that we have the strategies defined, we need to execute those strategies with our retailers or our customers. So how do we manage our baselines and terms or commercial agreements? How do we manage the guidelines and adhering to the strategy that's been defined? And then planning and executing all of that promotional activity that we've defined for that customer in line with the strategy. And then we've got to transact that activity through settlements and claims and so on and so forth. Ultimately giving us all of the analysis and optimization analytics that we need to learn from what we've done and what we plan to do in the future. And then finally, from a TPM perspective, that needs to then feed through in a seamless way to how we execute those strategies at the store level or the consumer level. So how do we organize those activities into and communicate those activities to our field teams that are actually in store and consumer facing? So how do we prioritize those tasks? How do we ensure that we get the compliance across price, promotion, product, and placement at the store level so that we have every chance for the consumer to make the right purchase decision? Some of the learnings from others that have implemented TPX solution but have not realized the expected business value really come back to what we consider the crawl, walk, run approach. Many organizations start on the left-hand side here on this chart, which we call a disparate process, where they have multiple systems. It might be Excel spreadsheets and so on and so forth, where they're trying to deal with those TPM processes. So the first stage is really to systemize and streamline those processes into one single solution that's integrated throughout the business. And that's what we call the crawl phase. And then once we have that phase done, we can work with a manufacturer in building their maturity or evolution through achieving more and more analytics, insights, and automation, and ultimately trade promotion optimization. So they get to that final stage of maturity where they have the one solution that's providing them not only the business processes and improvements around business process streamlining, but more importantly, the detailed analytics and insights into what is the right price, what is the right promotional strategy, and so on and so forth. Some of the other learnings that we've had with customers is understanding the value chain for the users. How will this make my life easier? It's critical for users to understand how the solution or a solution will help them do their day-to-day jobs, and how will it make their lives easier so that they can spend more time working on their customer relationships and talking to their customers. So that's critical to user adoption. We also need to set clear KPIs and objectives in terms of what does good look like? How do we benchmark ourselves against other manufacturers within this market? So understanding what good looks like and measuring our progress to those KPIs really gives us some quantifiable business objectives and outcomes. So as you can see down the bottom there, with this in mind, the average margin improvements can range from 2 to 15%. Most customers, as they move through the maturity, reach that 15% margin improvement, which is significant when it comes to the level and scale of investment manufacturers are making in this market. The second thing we talked about is the execution phase. So retail execution, what does the solution in this space do? Execution is all about the manufacturer ensuring the right rep or merchandiser is in the right place at the right time to ensure the right product is on the shelf in the right position at the right price, so that we have every opportunity for the consumer to purchase our product. So retail execution solutions are designed around arming our field or our merchandising teams with all of the information that they need to do their job more effectively. And we break that down into 3 core components. Pre-store is all about optimizing the plan. Where do I need to be today? What are the priorities I need to do? What's the optimum route that I should take to call on as many of my stores that I can? Then when I'm in store, it's all about execution with excellence. What do I have to do in the store? What are the priorities? What compliance do I need to check in terms of those strategies coming from head office down to a store level, from a promotion, a product, a pricing, and so on? What compliance is happening at store? Are there issues? Do I need to report those issues? How do I fix those issues? All the sort of things in-store execution are focused around ensuring that we have every opportunity for our product to be on shelf, for our consumer to make the right decision. We even have technology around artificial intelligence where reps or merchandisers can scan a shelf in store and the system will automatically recognize out of stocks, incorrect placements, and so on and so forth. And last but not least, post-store. It's all about performance and KPI metrics. How did I go to plan? Who's performing and who's not from a head office point of view? What strategies are working and why? And so on. We've learned today that our world has changed significantly in many aspects, but also it will continue to change at a rapid rate. We not only need solutions for today's problems, but we need to anticipate what's coming next. For example, today we have the rapid image recognition technology to automate shelf compliance and KPIs, i.e. out of stocks, planogram compliance, and so on and so forth. However, retailers are already testing shelf cameras, robotics, and even electronic price ticketing systems to better manage shelf availability and compliance themselves. What this will mean for a manufacturer is that ultimately rapid image recognition technologies will be made redundant. Instead, they'll be receiving this data set or these images directly from their retailers in real time. So how does a solution, or how do we make the most use of that data in the hands of our reps and merchandisers in store in a timely fashion? So things will continue to change. It's important to stay ahead of technology and look to the changes coming. So hopefully we've learned now what a cohesive and connected ecosystem looks like in bringing trade promotion management solutions and retail execution solutions together to provide that full view from strategy at the head office or the customer or the retailer level, all the way through to execution at the consumer level. As Einstein once said, strategy without execution is useless. Execution without strategy is aimless. And that makes sense. So bringing the two together is critical. By bringing these two together in a connective ecosystem, there are many opportunities for improvement that our customers see. As an example, growing revenue, margin, and ROI through better integrated business planning, understanding the margin drivers for both the manufacturer and the retailer, doing decent pre and post analytics, learning from what worked and what didn't work, and not repeating the same mistakes. improving visibility and control of spend, and optimizing the 4P strategies, being price, product, promotion, and placement. We can also improve forecast accuracy and alignment, improving or minimizing out of stocks or overstocks. One number business alignment is critical, and many organizations struggle with this in terms of bringing together the forecast, not just from a demand perspective, but also the financial forecast from a revenue and a spend perspective. So bringing that alignment together, improving our MPD processes, speed to market, pipeline, supply, and so on and so forth, and some of those other key things. Improving efficiency and effectiveness is a key one. As I said before, we want our sales team focused more on our customer relationships and selling, and less on day-to-day maintenance tasks for internal reasons. So it's all about how do we automate where possible? How do we minimize the complexity of markets and retailers? How do we remove process duplication? And ultimately, how do we arrive and develop the right strategies and execute those in store with excellence? And lastly, how do we make the most of the varying data sets and data sources that we have to deal with today? How do we consolidate and harmonize those into usable, actionable insights? The quantified business benefits our customers see on an average through a cohesive and connected system include 70% reduction in costs of implementing and maintaining multiple business solutions in a disconnected manner. Having multiple different business systems really requires a lot of administration function and IT overhead. So bringing it together in one connected landscape where you have one consolidated data source that deals with all of this significantly reduces those costs of install, deploying, and maintaining disparate systems. More importantly, sales revenue and margin improvements of up to 15%. It's all about improving the bottom line. And last but not least, 10% improvement in out of stock to forecast accuracy. Again, as we saw before, there's a significant opportunity in terms of cost savings and missing lost sales if we can improve our forecast accuracy and alignment. So hopefully that gives you a view of what a connected ecosystem looks like and some of the challenges manufacturers like yourselves are facing today. If you'd like to know more about what we do and how we can help you, please reach out to us. Either email us or call us, Simon or myself, or have a look at our website to learn more. Thanks for your time.